So we're here with one of our great friends from Florida, Orlando.
Oh, me.
Dawood. We've known each other for a long time. We've known each
right.
other for almost a decade through one of our investment networks. And we've asked you to be here today to talk to some of our clients and our investor clients about what's going on in Florida, why Florida, as Canadians and Southern Ontarians, we often snowbird down to Florida. But I want to dive in and have a conversation with you today and just figure out, chat with you about why to invest in Florida, what's happening in Florida. And why don't we start with just an intro? I call you the rainmaker or the dream maker, but why don't you give us a small intro?
So, let's add possibility engineer. I make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
No, I'm a Canadian. My name is Dawood Bedrosian. I moved to Florida 22 years ago, it seems like. And I found myself in a very unique opportunity where I started to work with Canadians, especially after the market crashed in 2008. We were able to come to Canada by just taking a really different approach to real estate. Instead of waiting for people to come to us, we decided to come to them. And we decided to offer them a turnkey, headache-free, one-stop shop, which would alleviate a lot of their concerns and just kind of get them through the buying process. I think one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of Canadians believe is that they can't actually go out and purchase properties in Florida. I don't know why. A lot of Canadians want to buy a place in Florida. It just seems like the most easy, obvious destination to go to with your family. And a place like Orlando, Florida just has great weather all year round. Of course, if you're a parent, you want to bring your kids to Disney and Universal. Otherwise, you're going to scar them for life. They're going to be
Mickey's the mayor of Orlando, right?
And you don't want to be that bad parent that doesn't bring their kid to the amusement parks.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of Canadians just have decided, especially as winter starts to approach, that they no longer want to be in these cold, frigid climate and want to take advantage of using the property, just like they would use a cottage in the summertime.
Sure.
Except you can have a winter home or just get away whenever you want. And I think based on the fact that you can still generate cash flow, there's a great demand for both short-term and long-term rental properties. It becomes really obvious for Canadians to want to consider that as part of their investment portfolio. Everybody wants a vacation home or a second family home down there, but more importantly, an investment property that they can use, collect the passive income, get the cash flow, the appreciation, and of course, use it as a lifestyle asset so they can use that asset at any point in time.
Yeah. We're going to dive into some of the numbers. As you know, much of our audience are savvy investors, but we also deal with, mom and pop or people looking for a recreation property. So let's defer some of the numbers and the expected returns to a little later in the conversation.
Yes, for sure.
Let's start with what's going on in Florida. Let's talk about the state of the Florida market.
Okay, so the Florida market is in a very unique place right now. A lot of people anticipated as the interest rates start to go up that the market would start to tank or start to shift. And in some cases in the United States, that clearly has been the case. Mm-hmm. We've seen the market shift by about 10 to 15%. You see markets like San Francisco, San Jose, that have slipped by about 10%. And even though we started to see a correction, especially as the interest rates went up from the 3% from last year.
What we've seen here.
Exactly.
Right? Yep.
To close to 6%, 7%. These days, especially if you're a foreigner, we actually saw that the property values went up by 9% in Orlando and 12% in Miami.
Wow.
And the reason for that is A, we have low inventory.
Yeah.
2, it's Florida. There's investors coming in from all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of buyers are coming to buy cash.
Yeah.
$59 billion with the B was spent in investment properties in Florida. Second homes, short-term, long-term, like I mentioned before.
Now, are these Americans? Are these Canadians?
The largest foreign nationals to buy in Florida, which had totaled $5.5 billion, were Canadians.
Yeah, of course.
So,
I mean, this has long been the case.
Yeah.
Snowboards, most of them end up in Florida. It's one of the most popular destinations.
And
that's one of the reasons we've got you here.
My family lives in Windsor, Ontario.
Yeah.
It's easier to take a flight to get to Florida than to take the 401 to get down there sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So which markets Which markets in Florida do you specialize in? And where are we seeing investors invest in Florida?
So I think a lot of Canadians are definitely looking at a number of different markets that suit their lifestyle needs. Some people are interested in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Naples, Tampa, just to name a few.
Yeah.
I love the Orlando market for one reason. I think it's one of the most affordable places to go and invest in.
Yeah.
The median price of a single family home is $365,000.
Wild.
The average price
Yeah.
is approximately $461,000.
Yeah.
So a lot more affordable than even buying a property in your own backyard.
Sure.
Over here.
Our average price here in Hamilton's in the 800s.
Crazy,
Come down
right?
a little bit from reaching over $1 million. But when we hear those numbers, I mean, that just seems like a significant discount where your purchasing power goes, very far.
And you can get financing as a Canadian, so you don't have to go out and buy this property cash.
So talk to me about that.
Okay.
The financing component, because we understand that arranging a mortgage in Canada and the US are two very different products.
Correct.
So for those of our investors that have never inquired into purchasing out of province or out of country, talk to us about financing for Canadians that are interested in purchasing.
So I think Canadians are probably the most fortunate investor or buying group in terms of any other foreign national. And the major reason for that is you have the presence of a couple of Canadian banks in Florida.
Yeah.
TD being America's fastest growing bank,
Mm-hmm.
has programs at 20 or 25% down
Yeah.
for financing a U.S. mortgage for a Canadian.
So is that what we
investor.
see minimum purchase, or is 20 to 25% down
So I
payment?
would say 20% as a second home.
Yeah.
But there are some limitations as to the number of homes or the number of mortgages that you may have outstanding in order for you to go and take advantage of that.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work out, there's other lenders at 25%, maximum 30%
Okay.
that can fund a lot of Canadians here. Sometimes even with stated income, it can even work for a lot of business owners
Yeah.
that don't show a lot of income. There's a lot of programs that are available for Canadians that are far better than any other foreign national as well.
It's quite exciting, or interesting, I guess is probably a more appropriate adjective there. We're seeing many of the properties in the Hamilton region that offer great cash flow, but because of borrowing costs today, we've got to see that 25 or 30%. And for those of our clients that receive our deal of the week, you'll notice that we are putting a 30% down payment just to make them cash flow. So pretty comparable acquisition cost when we're looking at loan to value, 25, 30%, depending on your financing requirements.
Mike, I want to point out, I think, a very key distinction here. I think when a lot of Canadians are looking at a price of a property in Florida, you're touching on something that's really important. The exchange rate right now is plus 30%.
Yeah.
So I think when you're looking at a $500,000 property, you immediately are thinking about an additional $150,000 that you would be adding to that property.
Sure.
But remember that exposure is only on that down payment,
Yep.
which is 20%, 25% as we're talking about. So that's the key distinction right there.
Yep.
Number two, it's going to be easy for you to get that property at such a nice and low deposit. You're going to be able to cash flow from this property as well too.
Yep.
And remember, it's a lifestyle asset. Where can you be able to get a property where it's only literally costing you your down payment?
Well, I would add one more to that, and that's diversification.
Correct.
Not only in geography, which we talk to many of our clients about, and we'll get into some of the asset classes, but in terms of exchange, foreign exchange diversification. So,
Because
part
you're
of the
also
reasons.
making income in US dollars, so you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. Great point. And I guess if we were to identify some of the reasons, which, we'll dive into, for those of you that are interested in exploring deeper, we'll chat about some of the next steps. But we really just wanted to have kind of a natural, organic conversation about, why would I consider Florida? And to that point, what are some of the factors when considering investing in Florida? What should investors be looking for?
So I think you definitely want to be in a place where the key components don't change for investing no matter where you're looking in the world. Where's the employment? Is the population growing or shrinking? In Florida, you're looking at, number one, great weather all year round.
Yeah.
You're looking at a city that the greater Orlando area is 2.2 million people.
Yeah.
They're anticipating by 2030 that the population will grow to 5.3 million people.
So double, almost double in population
That's what
in the
they're
next
saying.
in the next decade.
We just opened the Bright Line, which connects the train, the fast train that's going to go from Miami to Orlando.
Yeah.
And that's going to open so many other avenues for growth within the city in terms of travel back and forth.
Yeah.
A lot of the cities are expecting another $10 million in terms of just business growth around
Yeah.
the train stations as well too. It's also looking to attract a lot more people to travel also by a new means of transportation.
Yeah.
60% of the population in Orlando rents,
Yeah.
not own. And we've also seen the appreciation level just in the last few years rise by 20 to 30% as well too.
Wow. I love the way that you hit on those. I would call them the 7 drivers, right? That what drives real estate
Yeah.
values long term, and you hit on migration.
Yeah.
You hit on mortgage rates can be one of them, but population growth trends. You hit on transportation, which is a big one. So really looking at those underlying economics that help drive long term growth.
I've got another good one for
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Guess how many people came to visit Orlando in 2019?
Oh boy. In 2019, so
2019.
pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
I couldn't even hazard a guess.
Come on, just guess.
How many visitors per year? This is like an uneducated guess.
Go ahead.
I don't know. 1 million.
1 million?
Round number.
Come on. Try 78 million people.
Wow.
So that's double the population of Canada.
I wanted a nice round baseline number.
Plus HST.
Plus HST.
Right?
Double the population. Yeah.
So 78 million people, and then Visit Orlando, which is our tourism board, is anticipating 80 million people to visit in
Wow.
2024.
So the obvious question to me becomes, and let's just chat a little bit about, kind of asset class. What types of properties are investors acquiring? Because when you talk about, visitors, what jumps to mind is short-term rentals.
Correct. Yeah.
So let's first talk about the types of asset classes, and I'm going to add a part 2 to that question, which is talking about the short-term rental regulations and challenges
No
that we
problem.
certainly see here.
Easy question.
Awesome.
I love it. So let's go down memory lane. When in 2008, I want you to think about the time. The market crashed. A lot of Canadians wanted to go buy a property in Florida. And a lot of the properties that were available were essentially condos.
Yeah.
Under 100 grand, which have literally doubled since then. And that's what people were going after. And those were long-term rentals. Now in 2008, if you were going to go on a holiday, you're pretty much going to a resort or a hotel of sorts.
Yeah.
Think about the time that we live in right now. We have access to technology on our phone, on our computer. You can pretty much get any service that you want in an app, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are the apps that are pertaining to our business these days?
Sure.
So Airbnb,
VRBO. Yeah.
Vrbo, VRBO.
Yeah.
And now in order to capitalize on that market, a lot of the hotel brands have started to also create their own versions of it. So you have
Sure.
things like Hotels and Villas by Marriott, or and a lot of these brands, and even if you look at a lot of the online travel agencies like the Orbitz and the
Sure.
Hotels.com, they're now also offering short-term rentals.
Yep.
Culturally, we've also started to look at short-term vacation rentals as the accommodation, the preferred accommodation when we're going on a destination, because we can house more people.
Sure, you
It's
can
cheaper.
It's cheaper. You bring in your own services. Eat
Exactly.
healthier.
Exactly. Then you
Yeah.
have to spend all of that money on breakfast, lunch, and dinner outside.
Excellent. Yeah.
So yeah, short term is become really, really popular, and of course, based on the fact of how many people are coming to visit, why not capture accommodating those visitors,
Yeah.
78 million people, to come and stay in your own property.
So to dive deep, because I know some of our audience likes numbers, and I'm data driven for many of our clients that know us. What sort of numbers, if somebody's looking at creating a pro forma or a 4 ways to win,
Yeah.
what sort of vacancies would we look at
So-
on a short-term rental?
I think the average or the rule of thumb for a good
Yeah.
property in the Orlando area would be rented 70 to 80% of the time. So
Okay.
we're talking about a 20 to 30% vacancy rate.
Yep.
In March 2021, the occupancy levels jumped from 86% to 99%
Wow.
because everybody wanted to travel to Orlando
Yep.
after COVID.
Sure.
Now we are in more of a mature or more stable
Normalized market.
normalized
Yep.
market, but still hotter than what it was pre-pandemic,
Yep.
because more and more people want to take advantage of short-term vacation rentals and become a cultural norm to want to consider an Airbnb rather than stay in
Yep.
a hotel. That being the case, I think in today's market to see 70 to 85% is a really healthy
Reasonable.
occupancy
Yep.
and reasonable level for a newer, nicer home. Now keep in mind,
Yeah.
the difference between an Airbnb in Orlando versus one anywhere else in the world is you're literally buying into a community.
Yep.
So you're buying into a resort. We're talking about gated communities, water slides, adult pools, child/pools,
Yep.
lazy rivers. I mean, every amenity that you want is available
Yeah.
in the resort.
Right there. So interestingly, I'm going to be speaking about a Royal LePage survey that just came out,
Okay.
the Canadian Royal LePage Canadian Investor Survey. And one of the interesting findings that we had in that was that Canadians feel comfortable investing in detached homes was the largest asset class. And is that the same type of product that we would see down
Yes.
in Orlando? Detached homes, townhomes, and then condominiums.
Yes, so just like you hit it, that's exactly how it goes. The best performing asset classes are single family homes.
Yeah.
Why? Because they're actually building anywhere from 5 to 14 bedroom homes that are available for purchase in these communities.
Yeah.
Number 2 would be townhomes,
Yeah.
but we're also seeing townhomes. I mean, we just completed a townhouse community, 126 units, called the Azure Resort, 9
Yeah.
minutes away from
Yeah. You
Disney.
were showing me this great project.
3 to 6 bedroom homes
Yeah.
with your own private swimming pool
Yeah.
in your patio area in the back.
And remind me the price point of something like that.
So 5 bedrooms currently are $470,000
Wild.
with the pool.
Very
Yeah.
affordable
Yeah.
as a
But I mean, it
GTA.
the 6 bedroom houses or 5 bedroom houses would start in the low 600s anyway, so still affordable as well too. with the
I've got to
pool.
share. I get to see you maybe twice a year, and when I see friends like you that show me different product that's available in different markets, I'm often very enticed to move out of the Hamilton or Greater Hamilton area, from a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And let's talk about that a little bit, because
I just want to talk to your audience for a second. I want to take him with me. I've been trying to convince him to come down. I know you need him more than I would like to have him, but I'm definitely stealing him and kidnapping him. So if he's not around here, guys, he's with me.
I've got a friend that runs a great business from that resides, his practice is up here in Ontario, and they run the practice from down there. So it's certainly, Florida has long attracted Canadians and snowboards because of probably not only price point, but lifestyle and weather. And I think that's something that we're going to dive into some of the expected returns, but lifestyle probably goes without saying. But why don't you touch on lifestyle?
So let's look at lifestyle and, more importantly, how it ties into real estate. There's so many different asset classes that you can buy in real estate.
Yeah.
But there's only one asset class that is a lifestyle asset class, which is a short-term rental. It's one that you can actually live in and enjoy whenever you want,
Yeah.
and then throughout the remainder of the year. And unlike, for example, a cottage or a ski resort chalet type deal, this is one that can be rented throughout the year.
Yeah.
So the lifestyle asset here is crucial.
Yeah. That's
It's
a
one
great
that
point.
you can really enjoy, right? And you can enjoy it throughout the year.
I love that point, because here in some of our resort communities or short-term rental communities, perhaps like Collingwood or that's one comes to mind. There's these shoulder seasons, and there's a lot of seasonality to
Yeah.
rentals. Do you see the same in Florida?
So Florida, the best part about it, and specifically Orlando, is you're going to be able to enjoy great weather all year round.
Yeah.
And more importantly, you can take advantage of all of the amusement parks, golf, the convention center are all drivers for why people will want to come there. Sporting events.
Yeah.
Disney has a complex called Wide World of Sports,
Okay.
where you have professional teams that come and do spring training,
Sure.
to cheerleading competitions and stuff like that. These
Yeah.
are the types of groups that would come and rent your homes as well too. So if you think about the slowest time of the year, think of a school calendar.
Sure.
When the kids go back to school in America in
September.
August,
Yeah.
and in Canada in September, and then January will be the slowest time of the year.
Yeah.
The remainder of the time, you're going to get occupancy, high occupancy levels as well too.
I think one of the things that certainly maybe myself, one of those barriers to entry is the process. It seems overwhelming. I mean, the process of purchasing a home, here in Ontario as a resident, can be overwhelming in paperwork. Talk to me a little bit about that process, overarching, and then how you and your firm, simplify that process.
So the mortgage application process is very similar to the Canadian one.
Yeah.
They ask for the same docs. They're still going to be asking for your income statements, your tax returns, all that kind of stuff. No different.
Yeah.
So I think once you're able to get pre-qualified, which we have all of our mortgage specialists that are able to assist Canadians, because I would say 90% of my business is working with Canadian investors looking to come to invest in Florida.
I know you're investor focused, and that's a really important point, and we hit on that all the time. Making sure you're working with a local expert, somebody that understands the market, and that's part of our discussion here today to illustrate your competency surrounding that, but also is investor focused. And that's a small specialization within the overarching practice of what we do. So I want to just bring attention to that because it's a really important point. But part of the reason that you're here is you're a geographical expert. You reside in Florida, despite being a Canadian once upon a time. But you're also,
by the way.
Yes,
well, that's true.
Always will be. But you're investor focused, and that's really, I guess, kind of some of the meat and potatoes that we'd want our clientele to understand. This isn't, we're not bringing you in to talk about overarching concepts. This is legitimate, cash flowing properties, safe returns, and I think that process can be very overwhelming to many.
But Mike, when you talk to Canadians and you understand their pain points, their pain points are really simple, and we've touched on a lot of them. Number one, the belief that you can't do it. So let's dispel that belief. Yes, as a Canadian, you can buy Florida properties, as many as you want. Once you know that and you can get pre-qualified, what are the next steps? The next steps are pretty simple. Let's meet up together in Florida, or we can do it on Zoom because of this advent of technology. I've sold properties without owners ever being there. I'm literally at the property, we're connecting on a Zoom call, FaceTime, whatever the case may be, WhatsApp, and we're touring a property together. Once you've done that, then we need to go through the next hurdles. The next hurdles are simple. I'm going to connect you with a tax advisor that's going to walk you through the process so that you can discover whether you should buy the property in your personal name or in a corporation. And there are plus points to both.
Sure.
And once you go through that, we go into a contract. You do not need an attorney on both sides of the transaction like you do here in Canada because we have a title company that's running a transaction. Now, if you do want to speak with an attorney, we can set you up with one as well too. Once you close on the property, we can assist you with getting an interior designer to come and theme your property out if you're doing a short-term rental. Some cases, if you're buying a resale, the furniture comes with the property. So we can assist you with that process as well too. Property management is taken care of, both short-term and long-term. So you can really enjoy a headache-free, turnkey investment without ever having to worry about somebody calling you in the middle of the night because the light's not working or the toilet's not working or whatever the case may be.
I love the saying, invest where returns are best. And we've seen many of our investors look at markets all over, not only Canada, but globally. And I think, as a Canadian that has been to Florida a number of times, feels very comfortable. It's a place that I understand. It's not like, the difference between maybe the Caribbean or Mexico. And why don't you maybe just address, some of those, I guess, preconceived notions. Like, I've seen fantastic deals down in Panama. And in fact, that's why I'm here today is looking at investment real estate, in the Caribbean. So why don't you give me some of your perspective as a Florida-focused realtor? Why Florida versus Mexico or the Caribbean when we're talking lifestyle?
I think you're going to enjoy a lot of lifestyle destinations wherever you go. But when it comes to investing, you need peace of mind. And our attorney said it best. He goes, American law and Canadian law is based on Old English canon law. there's a lot of similarities in how things are set up. The Americans love the Canadians because we have the same credit system, the same types of banking system.
Yeah.
And I think Americans like working with Canadians because in general, more conservative.
Sure.
Canadians like to come to the States because that's the nicest, warmest place that you can travel to within a short distance.
Yeah. Yeah, especially East Coasters, Ontario.
And people in the Midwest or in the middle of Canada will travel straight down to Texas and Scottsdale, and the people on the West Coast would ideally love to go to California, but it's too expensive,
Sure.
so they tend to go to Vegas and Arizona as well too.
Yeah.
So when you start to look at a lot of these hot markets in the Sun Belt area, you begin to realize it's the same markets all the time that people travel to.
Sure.
With Florida being the most desired. Why? Because it's the only state with the largest coastal mileage than any other state.
Ah,
Right.
Interesting.
You have a lot of great destinations to travel to within an hour to a 3-hour drive.
And it's safe.
And it's safe. The banking system is safe. The
Yeah.
government is safer than a lot of the other countries. It's not a country where you're expecting a political coup like many of the
Sure.
other countries. And let me add one more thing. If you look at the other countries that invest into Florida, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, Argentina, these are all other really popular investing countries that are investing there. And the reason why they're investing there is to park money safely in a safe economy.
Yeah. Certainly the economy, the
Yeah.
safety of the economy and the currency, which is something
Correct,
that we chatted about, but also as as a parent that would travel, it feels very safe every time
Right.
I've been through the majority of the U.S.
Yeah.
and especially Florida. I mean, it's not uncommon to bump into Canadians.
They're everywhere. And they love us.
Yeah. So share with me what some of the common pitfalls are. If I'm considering investing in Florida,
Yeah.
all sounds great. The returns are strong. The vacancies are, that's an amazing vacancy number from my perspective. I would often say in this region, you'd be expecting much higher vacancies on a short-term rental. And in fact, I don't know if we've ever chatted about this. My early investing career, in fact, why I'm in real estate now, was I managed short-term rentals, and I'm going to date myself, in an era where there was no Kijiji and no Airbnb. It was
Great.
posting ads, so very labor intensive. High
How do they even find
vacancies.
you?
That's a whole nother podcast or a whole nother conversation interview at some point. But we certainly live in an era, you touched on this, where for my handheld device,
Yeah.
I can order lunch, I can find tenants or short-term rentals. So we certainly live in an era that makes this a lot easier. But all sounds good. Everything sounds fantastic. Talk to me about the risks and the pitfalls.
So I think the pitfalls is, first and foremost, you need to work with a team of professionals that are going to guide you through the process. So if you actually look at what we touched on, which is the most important part about this process, which is a turnkey, headache-free, if you break down every aspect of it, those are the pitfalls.
Yeah.
Not working with the right professionals to secure a mortgage and then at the 11th hour not being able to close on your loan.
Sure.
So good team on the market side, very important.
Yep.
Working with an agent that doesn't understand the needs of a Canadian, meaning get that ITIN number, individual tax identification number.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have one, the property management company that's going to manage your property
Yeah.
is going to withhold 30% of your income.
Okay.
Because they can't guarantee that you're not going to run away
Huh.
without paying Uncle
Yeah.
Sam. Not working with the right property management that is going to care for your property or is an expert at what they do.
Yeah.
You can work with a mom and pop that's going to give you a better break on property management, but they may not be able to market your property in the right way.
Sure.
So you want to work with the best of the best.
I've known you a long time, and there's two reasons you're here, and I say this often. I want to earn my clients' business for two reasons, and the first is competent, and you're extremely competent. This is what you do. You focus on Florida investment real estate.
That's all I do, actually.
It's all you do. So competency, and the second is trust. We've known each other over a decade. We run in the same circles, and I'm honored to take this opportunity to showcase not only you, which is the reason you're here. We don't just trust anybody in Florida, but I do thank you for spending a little bit of time and sharing with our audience, how to diversify, how to continue to grow their portfolio. There's got to be some reason that underlying why wouldn't you? What are the downsides to investing in Florida?
I can't think of many. Oh, I know. If there is one, guys, when you buy that property in Florida, make sure you do not tell your friends and family that you bought a property over there, because they're going to keep calling you to want to stay in it all the time, and that's where the vacancy is going to lie.
You can increase your vacancies.
I know. Don't tell
that
them.
is a good
Don't
reason.
tell them.
It's a great
No,
reason.
but I mean, honestly, there's a lot of really great reasons. I think to kind of sum this all up, you're looking at great weather all year round. You're looking at property values that are way less than anything that you can buy here in Canada. I've heard from a lot of colleagues that talk about a net neutral or net negative.
Yeah, GTA, you see that all the time.
Mike, when you go to the buffet, are you going to get one item? I want it all. I want cash flow. I want passive income.
I call that speculation.
I know.
And net neutral, cash flow negative is a
Doesn't make
speculative
sense.
investment to me. So we think very similarly.
I want it all.
Why we get along so well.
No, I want cash flow. I want passive income. I want appreciation. I want to use it.
Yeah.
And I think there's very few places in the world that you can take advantage of all of that on a short plane ride or even a drive down, if that's the case as well too.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm going to direct this to our clients. Our next steps, we'd love to dive deeper. So we're able to, if you're interested, reach out to us. There will be a link here below to connect. We'll book a one-on-one, and whether we host a webinar or whether we host kind of a more rifled approach, some of our clients like the one-on-one, and you're happy to take that time, which I also love. The commitment that you give not only to your clients, but as an extension of our clients. So thank you for all of that.
My pleasure. I think the most beautiful thing about working with Canadians is they become a part of our extended family as well too.
Yeah.
I have a couple of clients that are now on their 8th or 9th or 10th property. And whenever they come, we basically end up spending the 2-3 days together. We look at some properties, but we're going to lunch and dinner together, and we're having a good time. So I look forward to seeing you in Florida.
Well, thanks again, and we look forward to hearing from all of you guys. I hope you found a ton of value in today's chat. Thanks, man.
I didn't know.